Peace, blessings, much respect, much love. It's your boy, the Ghetto Guru, aka Shango, coming back with another message. Hope everybody having a good Sunday. Hope all is well. If you're not having a good day, hope the rest of your Sunday get better. But I got a message for y'all. I'm gonna get straight into it. So this message is not gonna be too long. Lately, I was thinking about the topic of the younger self, and usually when people bring that topic up, they always ask the general question of if it's one thing you could tell your younger self, what would you tell him or what would you tell her, depending on who's listening to this message. So if there's one thing I had to tell my younger self, I would say is to take your time, be patient with yourself, and there's no rush into growing up. A lot of times when we was younger, for a majority of us, we were rushing to, get older. We wanted to be grown. We wanted to do grown things. We wanted to go out, hang out, be 18, be 21 already. And one thing that was a huge gem for all of us that all the adults always told us was, yo, you better enjoy being young now. You better take your time. Don't rush getting old, because once you get there, or before you know it, rather, life is going to go by in the blink of an eye just like that. And, of course, we was being stubborn. We was being young, not listening, just not paying attention to any of that, thinking like, we knew it all, because when you're young, you just think you know it all. But they were right. And, we took it for granted, rather, not saying that we didn't enjoy when we was younger, but we took it for granted of not having as much responsibilities as we currently do now as adults. And that's one thing that's really key to me when I think about my younger self, is just taking your time with yourself and just being patient with the journey of life and not rushing it, because there's so many things that you can miss in between that time of being in that younger self, that you will miss a lot in the journey, and you won't get to enjoy that ride, because that ride in between that time as your younger self, it's a lot of joy in that time in the journey. So that's one thing I would tell my younger self, is to be patient with yourself. Know that you're gonna make a lot of mistakes on the journey, and that's part of the process, because a lot of times we think that when we run into negative obstacles or when we have a negative experience, that we failed or something like that. But those things are happening also as well. Along with the positive experiences, the negative experiences is happening as well, so we can grow into the person that we're supposed to be. So those negative experiences impact us tremendously, just like positive experiences as well. So that's a part of the learning curve, and learning things and learning how to move in the world and becoming better people and becoming better with just things overall in the world. So that's very major. And also just appreciating yourself. That's another thing I would tell my younger self, just appreciating yourself. Because there's many things that we probably went through when we were younger that, we might have had insecurities about. Maybe we got treated a certain way, so we didn't know what real love felt like. We didn't know what real friends felt like, or maybe for some of us, we didn't know what real family felt like. So that's one of the other things I would tell my younger self, is to learn how to treat yourself, learn how to love yourself, and learn how to really appreciate who you are, because appreciation of yourself will teach you how to not just love yourself, but teach you how to love others even better and accept others for where they at. Because everybody's not going to be on the same page, and everybody's not going to be at the same spot we are on the journey. So what we learn and what we may know, others may not know, and they haven't learned that and they weren't taught that. So I would not fault them for that, and I would give them more unconditional love for where they at in the journey. And even if I couldn't go along with them on the journey because they had a lack of teachings or understanding at that point, that's fine. I could still love them from a distance. So those things are very important that I would tell my younger self. And when we talk about the younger self, we forget that, the younger self is always going to be within us. That's the inner child. Well, the younger self is us. When we look at our pictures when we were younger, in elementary, junior high school, or even some college pictures, because, that we was young too in there. When we look at those memories, when we look at those pictures and stuff like that, you get to see the different aspects of yourself. You get to see where you were at and where you was at in elementary, where you was at in junior high, where you was at in high school, where you was at in college. You get to see the evolution of yourself, the different stages of yourself, the growth of every stage you was at. So, elementary, you might have been in a shy stage, you might have been in an innocent kid stage. Junior high, you might have got more experience into the world where you kind of was getting out your shell a little bit, or maybe you could have went more into your shell depending on your experience. High school is usually that point in time where usually teenagers kind of start breaking out of their shell, or they try to find out who they are, and then college is where people really find out who they're meant to really be. So high school is like you could find out who you think you're supposed to be, and then college is like find out who you really is. So depending on your experience and stuff. But that's saying all that stuff I'm saying is that when you look at your younger self, you get to look at all those memories, you really get to see the flaws and how much of lack of understanding you did have at that time versus what you have now. And that's part of the journey that I'm talking about being patient. You're not gonna always have every answer to everything. You're not always going to be at a certain spot that the world told you got to be at a certain age. So that's very important for the younger self, because that's where all that depression and that anxiety and that guilt and that regret comes from, because we're listening to the world tell us that, you got to be at this point in your life at this age, you got to have this accomplished at this age, you got to have this type of family at this age, you should be married, you should have kids, you should be in a home, retired, all this other stuff, right? So, but that's where all that, like I said, depression, anxiety, regret, that's where all that comes from, because we so focused on trying to fit that mold of what the world told us, instead of knowing that everybody has their own individual journey and their own timing of when they're going to become what they're supposed to be and what they're designed to be. So that's important for the younger, if I could tell my younger self if I could tell my younger self that as well, that you're not going to always be where the world or anybody else around you think you should be at. You're going to be where you're supposed to be at and where God, the universe, and your ancestors want you at that time. You're going to always get to your destination as long as you're following your inner guidance and you're following the outer guidance of God, the universe, and your ancestors. So it's very important that we think back to our younger self and ask those questions to ourselves and stuff like that, like what we would tell our younger self, if anything, and anything that we would do differently. And because, like I said, it's not just for just a pondering question to think about, it's also because that younger self is still us, even if we're older. The inner child is always within us. So it's always good, because we still need to feed that inner child and that younger self every day. Yeah, we focus on being adults and adulthoods and doing what we got to do, but we still got to take time to reminisce, and we still got to take time to sit down with that younger self and that younger version of ourselves and talk to it. So we got to have those conversations with our younger self. We got to have those intimate moments like that, because it makes a big difference, and then you get to see how far you came along your journey, and you get to compare and contrast, like, damn, at this point in my life when I was 18, I was going through this, I had insecurities in that. I was shy, or I was just in a dark time in my life, or everything was going down the hill, versus now you could look at your life and compare it to then, like, damn, I wish I would have learned this when I was younger, because now I know this. That's why they got that quote, like, I wish I knew what I know now, I wish I knew then. So that's where that quote comes. What I know now, I wish I knew then. So all the knowledge and all the understanding and the wisdom you gain is so impactful and so monumental that only if you could have just had those gems when you was younger, we always think we could have been further along the journey, but we wasn't supposed to know all that back then, because it would have interfered with everything we were supposed to be doing now. So it all happened for a reason. It all happened in the time it was supposed to happen. So that's just important, man. I'm not gonna make it too long. I just want to just express that, like, when it comes to the younger self. And it's always good to think about those things, because you get to really see all the things that you were missing and all the keys and the tools and the guidance that you didn't have. And now you can give that guidance to yourself, and now you can give all that care and that nurture that nurturing and them teachings to your younger self now, because you know better and you know what to do, and you could do better now. That's why they always say, if you know better, you do better. So so since we know better now, we can do better, and we can also help others do better, and we can teach them better as well. So you could do this thing, you could do this drill, you could do this, drill. You could do this exercise, it's a drill too. You could do this drill or exercise with yourself, and just ask yourself that general question, like, if there's anything you could tell your younger self, what would you tell, him or her? And also always do exercises and daily drills with yourself, tapping into that inner child and tapping into that younger self. And don't be scared to have those conversations with your younger self, because they're very important, and they teach you how to still nurture that inner child within you, because we still got wounds, we still got afflictions, and if it's not wounds, we still got memories that will get triggered no matter how old we get, because it's still in our soul and still in our mental of our younger self. So things is always going to remind us of that. Things are always going to get brought up, or we're going to come across things that ignite those things and bring it back up to the surface. So just remember that, man, to be patient with yourself and kind with yourself, and also always tap into your inner child and tap into that, and also have those conversations with your younger self and give it love. Give your younger self love, give your younger self concern, give it all of that. Anything that it was missing, if you know how to do it now the correct way, you need to do those things now. So peace and blessings, much respect, much love. I love y'all always. Hope y'all keep doing your thing. Stay goal-oriented. Like I always say, whether we run, whether we jog, whether we sprint or crawl, because life is that hard. Sometimes you can't run, you can't jog, you can't sprint. Only thing you can do is crawl to your destination. But like I always say, somehow, some way, we got to make it to our destination some way. So peace, blessings, much respect, much love. I love y'all always. Keep doing your thing. Stay goal-oriented, stay focused. And to the next topic. Peace.